of indictment you would expect from someone in the mafia.
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. He is very eager to tell his story.
They're going to show that video over and over and over about what happens to women that won't change their stories.
His reputation is over.
The United States government, they start making this case as a takedown of a...
Ben Affleck's dramatic FBI testimony recently upended the Diddy trial by revealing shocking new evidence that might drastically change the case's result. Ben Affleck has said something new that might significantly alter the course of Diddy's court battle. The court has twice denied Diddy's application for bail due to his influence and flight risk.
Oh, it's just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Now,
how is that the only man in her life that had regrets about their relationship and everybody else ran for the hills? Like, it's not nobody noticing that everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
yeah, maybe she was meant for the man.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
God damn.
What the f does that make you?
As Jaguar accurately describes, Diddy is the only one who did not escape from JLO. Jennifer is perfect for Diddy and only Diddy.
Thought that just running off and marrying Ben Affleck was going to take you out of the Diddy downfall? It saved her the first time though, didn't it? Because as soon as that club was over and as soon as they finished interrogating her, when she sat there and cried like a baby, I don't want to go to jail, Benny Medina put her with that drunk wife.
Jaguar also shared her opinions on J-Lo and Affleck's marriage.
Downfall of Diddy, the indictment, now streaming on Tubi.
Well, Diddy is not giving up, even before he gets to the trial, he's not giving up on trying to get out of jail. You know that he has been turned down twice to get out on bail, and he is being held in Brooklyn and will be there until the trial begins.
Unless he appeals and an appeals court says the judge was wrong.
Affleck's private FBI-provided testimony raises a number of concerns that might compromise the prosecution's case. They have already assembled a strong defense, bringing in top lawyers including appellate attorney Alexandra Shapiro, who has a history of winning high-stakes cases.
Allowed him to post bail, which is exactly what they are going to try and do.
Right, and he has brought in new lawyers to try and get this done. Get to the lawyers in a second. I just don't know how has the argument changed?
The problem is this, that
The same things that the judge said before.
there's a legal standard when you appeal something like this. And the legal standard is, did the judge abuse his discretion? Because ultimately, this is a discretionary thing. And it is a high standard.
But here's the worst part. In addition to being a flight risk, the prosecution has maintained that Diddy has the means to intimidate witnesses. It will be very difficult for the defense to dispute this claim since the court has backed it up.
For an appellate court to meet to say, we're going to superimpose our view of it over the trial judge's view of it. And what the trial judge was saying is, look, he is a flight risk and a danger in the sense that he's tried to intimidate and influence witnesses in the case.
Then what? Now Diddy's gang is calling for a speedy trial. They are betting that the prosecution may not be fully prepared and that Affleck's speech could be their secret weapon.
Right there, they about to let her out.
Hey, J-Lo. Hey, when you gonna stop messing with these lanes, man? Get a real one like me. Oh, you ain't gonna reply? Keep getting divorces then, Lane.
But you did used to date Mr. Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Who's Can't Stop?
Diddy, he's a...
Oh!
He's a hell of a hustler.
No, he was. But I don't know, we never lived together. I was talking more about my relationships where we lived together and everything. We were like boyfriend and girlfriend when we were little.
Jennifer Lopez is being vilified for dating Diddy after he was imprisoned. Her involvement in these problems is being questioned.
Lopez and Ben Affleck are no strangers to rumors. Recently, there's much buzz about the couple's marriage being on the rocks. They're also subject of the new special TMZ investigates J-Lo and Ben missed warning signs. Well, joining us this morning is TMZ's Harvey Levin. We're going to clear it out and get right to the facts. So, Harvey, as soon as Bennifer 2.0 loaded, it seems it imploded just as fast. What happened with these two?
Well, I mean, a lot happened. Tashani, what I find really interesting about this is, we talked to a bunch of people. They saw this coming like a freight train for a whole bunch of reasons.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez have been in the public glare for a long time, so rumors are nothing new to them. Recently, there has been a lot of talk about their marriage, with many people believing that it could be in serious danger. The two are now the focus of a new special. TMZ's research revealed that J.Lo and Ben failed to notice warning signs.
I think one of the reasons, and it's really interesting, everybody knows Ben has a substance abuse problem, and he is an addict. But the people we spoke to also said that Jennifer Lopez is an addict, not substance abuse. She is a love addict. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually a thing, that she falls fast and hard for people. And she usually gets engaged, or she has gotten engaged just months after getting involved with somebody. And when it ends, there is no alone time. She goes right to the next person.
Although Ben's well-known struggle with substance abuse is clearly a serious issue, many were astonished to learn that Jennifer also has an addiction, not to drugs, but to love. She tumbles with power and speed.
A lot of the people we talked to said that is just a recipe for disaster. When it comes to maintaining a relationship, you need this kind of alone time. The other thing is, and this sounds superficial, but it's real, he hates publicity, Ben Affleck, and she loves it like a moth is driven to a flame. And this is what torpedoed their first relationship, or at least one of the reasons, according to them. And yet they repeated this a second time, going on this kind of love tour. And when he looks miserable, a lot of the people we talked to said he actually is miserable.
Yeah, my Boston brethren, every time we saw him, he had a frown on his face. But we want to get to some sound right now, Harvey. Let's go there real quick.
Another issue, which contributed to the dissolution of their first relationship, is that Ben despises publicity while Jennifer loves it. It seems like history is repeating itself.
About the kids, because they've been a nice little blended family. They developed this relationship. What happens to them now? Do you think they'll be able to maintain that closeness?
That's, we get into that a lot in this. It is really tough on any kids involved in divorce. But if you think about it, these kids on both sides have already been involved in one divorce, and in J.Lo's case, more than one. And then, in terms of relationships. And, now they blended and they're kind of broken apart. So, theoretically, yeah, they've gotten close.
Jennifer's incessant need for company has made it difficult for her to grow up by herself. She often goes into relationships without taking the time to spend alone, even if she is very skilled. In fact, some people assert that she is more than just a sucker for romance.
They are going to lead separate lives. I mean, look, they're getting divorced. They're selling the family house. He's moved out. We know she is looking for her own home. So do they maintain a relationship? It's possible, but they are going to be in separate orbits eventually, because all signs here are this marriage is over.
And now she gave him a very special Happy Father's Day shout out, calling Ben their hero. I mean, no one's pulled the plug yet, Harvey. Is it safe to say that it's possible they could get things back on track?
Yeah, I mean, Trishani, anything is possible. But again, they have put their home on the market. He has moved out.
This was Jennifer's fourth marriage and Ben's second. Even though they had combined their families, which seemed to be working well, you have to wonder what happens to the kids now that things are falling apart.
She is now separately working with a realtor in Beverly Hills, looking for her own home. That's not the sign of two people who are going to try and reconcile. And it's just not what we're hearing. So, I know a lot of people were rooting for this, and that itself might be a problem, because what happens is that when you've got two big stars and you've got the world kind of rooting for this fantasy, they buy into it, and if it doesn't work, they feel still that need to hold it together. It just hasn't worked. And we get into that in some detail in the Hulu documentary.
Although divorce is never pleasant for the kids, this situation is especially challenging since both sets of kids having experienced at least one divorce before. Relationships have come and gone for Jennifer, particularly with her children. Here, Ben Affleck smashes the car door in Jennifer Lopez's face while she is out doing errands in a rage.
Had a chance to watch it actually yesterday ahead of this interview, and the whole time, Harvey, I was like, ooh. So it's certainly worth watching. Why don't you let the people out there know how they can watch it?
It is on Hulu. It dropped today. It is called J-Lo and Ben Missed Warning Signs. And you will hear from a lot of people who know a whole lot in this area, including the person you just mentioned, John Peters, one of the most successful producers in Hollywood, who actually put J-Lo in one of her first movies.
All right, Harvey, thank you.
Given all of that, is there any chance for reconciliation? Is there a possibility that they will work things out and get back together?
All right, we're getting into the debrief and the very latest on Sean Diddy Combs' arrest on sex trafficking crimes. TMZ is reporting that at least 2 new people plan to cooperate with the feds, and they're willing to testify in front of the grand jury.
All right, joining us now with the details, Charles Latabaudier, TMZ executive producer. Charles, thanks so much for being here with us. Obviously, it's been a very busy week in this case. What's the latest with the investigation?
Yes, Steve and Bianca, as U.S. Attorney Damian Williams promised earlier this week, he said this is an ongoing investigation and that they will be speaking to more people. We found out.
We have some startling facts. Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on serious charges of human trafficking. 2 more individuals are anticipated to help federal investigators, TMZ reports. They are even prepared to testify before a grand jury.
In there, and what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter, and that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's the situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen. So they're going out of the way to make sure that doesn't happen.
Diddy is now being held in the Manhattan Detention Complex in Brooklyn, and it can be some time before his trial even begins. While his lawyers try to have him relocated, he is now there. According to a former warden we spoke with, Diddy is seen as a target in prison. The warden claims that other inmates can get a kind of pride award for injuring a famous individual like Diddy. To prevent that, they have placed him in solitary confinement for his own protection.
Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Should I keep going? Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him. Off of Justin Bieber.
Jaguar Wright disclosed Diddy's party list and named other celebrities who, in addition to Diddy and Jennifer Lopez, need to be charged with crimes during the interview.
Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly.
There is evidence that Shaw Combs was running what they call the Combs Enterprise. That is, they have charged him with being the leader of a criminal organization where his employees and associates allegedly assisted him in hiring both men and women for his own gain.
We're able to procure women and alleged male sex workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking. It's one of the most unique indictments I've ever seen in this area, in the area of sex crimes, because the government isn't actually prosecuting.
Rather of directly accusing him of misconduct, the government is charging him of running a criminal operation that transported individuals over state lines for prostitution. The indictment contains accusations of a racketeering conspiracy and is structured similarly to a mob-style prosecution.
The sex crimes, other than the human trafficking or the sex trafficking, they're not prosecuting any type of alleged sexual abuse to women, although that's part of this racketeering scheme. But the actual charges are racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals over state lines to engage in prostitution. The reasoning around all of this, his alleged motivation as presented in that indictment by the government.
The defense will surely point out that the indictment contains no reference of the acts being non-consensual, even if these claims are true. Furthermore, the fact that these individuals were forced or unwilling volunteers is not mentioned.
Personal gratification, and that's just the strangest type of indictment I've ever seen. But I agree with you, this indictment reads, it's very disturbing. The facts presented are out of a very bad Hollywood story. And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these sexual performances that have been.
Although the government's charges focus on how Combs allegedly used his businesses, including his clothing and music companies, to finance this activity of transporting people across state lines for prostitution, there is enough evidence, including physical evidence collected during raids at his homes in Miami and Los Angeles, to support a conviction.
In their characterization, does not say that anybody did any of these things non-consensually. What do you make of that?
I make of that as being a big flaw already in the government's case, which the defense was quick to point out. Even if he was engaging in this alleged conduct, there was no allegation or no statement in that indictment saying that any of these alleged victims or alleged witnesses willingly participated in some of these acts that people find offensive, that sound to be offensive. And that's a very important part of the case. What was the...
We know that the federal government says it has footage from the notorious freak shows they seized, including some that may have included celebrities. Some people could feel uneasy about this, especially those who might be required to testify.
Many people, illuminating, infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010.
Mila Morales, a cosmetic artist for Diddy and Cassie for many years, saw the fallout after an alleged assault on Cassie Ventura.
Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. Busted lip, but a lot of knots all over her head.
Did she go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend, who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really it was painful.
Mila claimed to have knots all over her head, a black eye, a swollen lip, and terrible head injuries. Watch this space for more.